Hello, families. My name is Jocelyn Hendershot, and I am very excited to be your child's first grade teacher next year. We have a lot of fun activities planned this year, a lot of great learning, and I wanted to spend a few minutes just to introduce myself a little bit to you all and tell you about some of those things that we will be learning and some things you might want to know before we start back on Wednesday. So as I mentioned, my name is Jocelyn Hendershot, or Mrs. Hendershot, as your child will call me. I'm entering my 8th year of teaching and recently finished my master's degree in reading. So I'm especially excited about teaching reading this year. I love traveling and trying out new restaurants. So please, if there's any fantastic new ones in the Visalia area that I need to know about, please let me know. And I also love cooking and baking. In the corner here, you see our little cat named Kihei. I'm sure your students will talk about him because I talk about him a lot. I think he's adorable. And we also are expecting a baby in late October. So there will be a sub while I'm on maternity leave, but I'm sure they will do a wonderful job in my absence. Here are a few things to note. This is just some things that set us apart as our charter school. So first of all, Mrs. Stinson will address this in her video to you all about dress code. So I'm not going to spend too much time going over it other than to tell you that it is solid colors. And please make sure that your kids have backs on their shoes, so no flip-flops, and also no light up shoes. Another quick thing to remember is the solid colors does apply also to jackets. So I know it's like 100 degrees out, but as you start thinking about jackets and sweatshirts, those also need to be solid color as well. The second part here, that's called the icons of depth and complexity. That's what we use for all students, but it is a strategy that's particularly used for our gifted learners, but we use it for all kids. And it helps them make more in-depth connections to the things that they're learning. So for example, if we're doing an author study, we might use this icon here, patterns, to see what does the author do that's the same in all of these different stories. Or if we are doing a writing piece, we might talk about what are some of the rules for when we write. Well, we always start with a capital letter. We remember finger spaces, we put punctuation at the end. Some of those things help us to get deeper into the topics that we're learning and make more connections across different topics. This next image here is of our core 4. At Blue Oak Academy, we respect people, property, process, and presentation. So respecting people just means treating one another the way that we want to be treated. Respecting property is just using things the right way. We don't throw pencils in the classroom. We don't kick balls onto the roof of the school. Being kind with our school supplies and your personal supplies. Respecting process is essentially following directions. Are you listening the first time, or do we need lots of reminders? Following process is also, did I remember to pack my backpack and come to school ready to learn today? And lastly is presentation. Are you wearing the dress code? Now, when I do the core 4, I particularly pay attention to those first 3, people, property, and process. And there's a variety of ways that this is done in our classroom, but we do have a lot of different reward systems. I am a very big proponent of positive reinforcement. And this is done in a few ways. Sometimes it's done whole class. The whole class will work on a couple of target behaviors. For example, lining up quickly. And every time they line up quickly, they get a point. And once they get to 10 points, the whole class could earn a reward for something. This could also be done on an individual basis, where we have, in the past, I've done like a treasure box, and students can earn money to use the treasure box, or students can earn special badges or privileges for making smart choices. There's a variety of ways that this is implemented in the classroom, and it changes from year to year depending on the students and their interests. So stay tuned to see how more of that classroom management will be happening. This last box here is our toolbox tools. This is part of our social emotional curriculum. These are the 12 tools students use for learning and for life. You can see a few there: the breathing tool, learning to take deep breaths when we're stressed; There's also the personal space tool, learning to tell people when you need space and asking for space. One of my favorites with first graders is the garbage can tool, letting little things go. If someone cuts you in line, we can let it go. If it happens over and over again, then maybe we need to have a conversation, but also sometimes just make a mistake. So those are the tools that we'll be learning about this year as well. If you have questions about any of this, please reach out on email or Blooms. I'm happy to explain any of these things further. Now onto the really fun stuff. Well, we're actually going to be learning in first grade this year. So reading, as I mentioned, is one of my favorite things to teach. Our school uses a curriculum called Expeditionary Learning, which integrates phonics, that's the sounding out of words, so k, at, cat, and comprehension, that's understanding texts that you read. Our first big unit that we're going to be studying is called Tools and Work. So students will be learning about different kinds of tools, learning why we need tools, how we use tools, and learning what tools are best for different jobs. What I love about this program is not only does it integrate phonics and reading comprehension, but it also uses science. So we'll be doing some exploration during science to learn about different tools. During reading time, we also will be using centers. This is when I'll pull a small group while the rest of the students are working on some different tasks, both independently and with an aid and through some online programs. Another topic we'll do this year is writing. So in kindergarten, if your child was at our school, they learned some of the Nancy Fetzer strategies. It has a graphic organizer that looks like the one on the left, and we'll be integrating our other curriculum, which is Lucy Calkins. All 3 types of writing will be taught this year, and we cover writing both in like a writing specific time and also through our reading program. The first topic kind of writing we will be covering is narrative writing, so writing a story. So when we go to write a story, you can see from our graphic organizer, the first box is going to be our setting, characters, detail, detail, detail. And then I like to push first graders to write a sentence at the end about what the character learned or how they felt at the end of the story. So a story could be one day at the park, that's my setting. A girl was playing on the swings, that's my character. She met a new friend named Mark. Mark and the girl decided to go swimming. Then they got ice cream together. And if I added that last piece, it would say, in the end, the girl and Mark became great friends and had so much fun. This tells how they feel. That's what we'll be working on in first grade and elaborating those stories to be even better than the one I just shared. Math is also one of our core subjects. We are using the curriculum called Zearn, and the main focus in this trimester will be adding and subtracting within 20. They'll also be developing their understanding of place value. So knowing 10 ones is the same thing as a 10. Knowing the number 12 has 1 10 and 2 ones, and being able to manipulate those numbers. Zearn integrates, similar to reading, whole group and small group instruction, and students will be using an online program called Dreambox in addition to teacher instruction. Science is the last area that I will be working with your child in. And science, as I mentioned before, is aligned with what we're doing in reading. And it is designed for students to make their own discoveries and to collaborate. So you might hear your child come home and say that they played with toys at the end of the day, probably not lying. Especially at the beginning of the year, we do a lot of things with like Play-Doh or magnets and coloring to work on how we share supplies and how do crayon is a tool. How do crayons work? Why do we need crayons? What do they not work on? And building structures with Magna-Tiles or figuring out how some of those things work just from their own play. Project-based learning is this last point, it's called PBL, and that work is integrated into science reading and writing time. And our first project will be students will create a magnificent thing. You'll get a little bit more information on that later in the trimester. And here are the specialists. Students will have PE 2 days a week. They will have art 2 days a week, Spanish 2 days a week. And then on the end of the day, Friday, students will have a sing-along time. Here is how the schedule is kind of broken up. I know it's a little bit small, but the main things to remember is that school begins at 8:10. Please do your very best to be on time. Our day starts with a morning meeting, which is an important social emotional component of our day and really sets the tone for our learning. We will have math, reading centers, and writing every day. And reading, our just whole group reading time is 4 days a week. And then science is 3 days a week. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. One thing to note is that students have PE on Mondays and Wednesdays. So I highly encourage the use of sneakers, tennis shoes on Mondays and Wednesdays. A few more important notes before I let you go. This is homework. I'm trying something new this year, so if it doesn't work, I apologize now, but this is my goal, to send this home, and it should be returned daily. This piece of paper, it'll look like this, will be put in a Ziploc into your child's backpack. At school, I will mark over here what we did in our small group reading time. So if we learned about a new word pattern like short A or bossy E, I'm going to check that and tell you what word pattern we learned about. If we practiced a word pattern that we already knew, I'm going to check mark that. If we learned a new strategy or read a new book, I'm going to check that. And if we just practice reading together, I'm going to check that. There's also a section here for me to comment. So this left side, I will mark. If it is unmarked, either your child did not return it to me, or two, I didn't get a chance to meet with them that day. I will not meet with every kid every day. There's just not enough time. So please pay attention to the days I don't meet with them. It's even more important than that you're working with them at home. On this right side then, excuse me, is your options for at home. So if you would like to, you can choose to practice their high frequency words, and that'll be sent home in the same bag with some options for how to practice. Or if you'd like to, you can practice reading the book that gets sent home. Or you can read any book for 15 minutes. They can be read to, they can listen to a book on the computer, they can have a sibling read to them, they can read to you, anything for at least 15 minutes. If you want to do more than one of these things, more than welcome to do more than one as well. So I just ask that every day, Monday night, you check mark which one you did and then initial. And this is a great practice for your child to get into the habit of responsibility with their work as well. If you have questions about homework, please reach out and let me know. I think it'll make more sense once it's going home. My expectations for the classroom are that students are coming on time and ready to learn. That includes returning their reading log with their Ziploc every day. Please remember that toys stay at home. I know students will often hide them in their backpack. If they come out, my policy is first offense, it is mine till the end of the day, and then they will get it back. Second offense, it is mine for the rest of the week, and then they will get it back. Third offense, I only return it to mom or dad or grandma, grandpa, whoever comes to pick them up. I understand that sometimes students are transitioning between different homes. If they have a special stuffed animal that needs to be with them all the time, of course that can come, it just needs to stay in their backpack. Lastly, if your child would like a snack, please remember to pack a healthy snack. Unfortunately, Twinkies, not a healthy snack. When we have sugary things, it gives us a burst of energy for a short amount of time, and then we kind of fade. And I've noticed with students who eat a lot of Pop-Tarts, for example, as a snack, they have a lot of energy right after recess, and then it's hard to get some work out of them. So please consider packing a healthy snack, granola bar, string cheese, some fruit, and a water bottle. Remember, water bottles should have water only If you'd like your child to have a Gatorade or a juice at lunch, that is fine, but that is not allowed in the classroom just due to spills and ants and things like that. So that has to stay with their lunch. It's not to be drank inside the classroom. Last part, how can you help? I'm so excited that I get to work with your students all day, but there are some great ways that you can be of help to me. First of all, I'd love to have some classroom volunteers, especially during reading centers or math time. So please reach out if you are interested and tell me your availability, and I will see if it works with our schedule for the year. Also, if you are interested in volunteering, you must fill out a parent volunteer packet. This is something you have to do every single year, so you cannot help out in our classroom until you have filled that out. If you are interested in chaperoning for a field trip, we have 2 we are anticipating going on this year. You must fill out that volunteer packet and get fingerprinted. Last I checked, fingerprinting was between $60 and $80. I'm not sure the current cost, but you must be fingerprinted if you would like to come on any of our field trips. Another way you can help out is by donating items. There's some items that we need for our classroom. There is a QR code in the left corner. So if you grab your phone or pause the video here, you can scan it and it'll take you to Amazon, where I have a list of special things I would like. For example, Play-Doh or some more Magna-Tiles for the science times. The watercolor paper is on there too, I think. You can also use that link, tinyurl.com/Hendershot2022 to help donate some of those unique items. I will also put up some items on balloons like tissues, pencils, expo markers that we always kind of need. That would be helpful to be donated as well. The last thing you can do that is so extremely helpful for me is communicate. Please let me know if you have any concerns about your child, if something happened at school and I maybe know about it, but maybe don't know about it. Please let me know through balloons, or you can send me an email. I do my best to communicate to you, but please, it is a two-way street, so please reach out to me. I will not be upset, but also note that I do work during the school day. So if you are reaching out to me during school hours, it's going to take me a bit of time to get back to you. Please ask questions and communicate on Blooms. You should have the information for how to log into Blooms. If you are new to our school, I'll make sure that you get that and I'll send that to you. There's my email, jhendershot@fluentacademy.org. And I look forward to seeing and meeting many of you on the first day of school, and can't wait for a great year of first grade. Thanks for listening.